Parashat Kedoshim starts with the words, Kedoshim tihiyu, you shall be holy, for I, Hashem your God, am holy. This is obviously an amazing, stunning statement. We should be holy because Hashem is holy. Now, there's lots of explanations and there's lots of holy mitzvot in this parasha. It's got, I think, the most mitzvot of any parasha, 52. And Moshe Rabbeinu gathered all of Bnei Israel, not just the men. Normally it was just the men he would talk to and pass on the teachings from Hashem, and they would spread it to their families. But in this case, it was so important that everybody should learn to love each other, to judge each other favorably, to support each other and help each other, not speak lashon hara, etc., that he wanted everybody to hear it. So now I want to give an explanation of what this means in a deep and intuitive way. And in order to do so, I'm not going to do so by addressing any of the mitzvot in the parasha. I'm actually going to address the mitzvah of tefillin, because I think we can learn it from that in a very special way. You'll see. Right, so everybody knows we're supposed to wear tefillin every day. It's a daily mitzvah, right? Well, if you go and look in the sources to try and figure out where does it come from, that we learn from the Torah that we're supposed to wear them every day, you will struggle. It's one of the hardest things to prove. The sources, the Rabbanim, discuss this at length. For example, we know, Rabbeinu Yonah says in Igeret Teshuvah, that a person who doesn't wear tefillin receives 300 punishments a year, which implies that you get one for every day that you don't wear it every weekday. The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch tries to derive it from the fact that we don't wear them on Shabbat and Yom Tov, implying that we should wear it every other day. And indeed, Rav Sternbuch in Teshuvot v'Hanhagot says that it's a continual mitzvah. Some argue, though, that yes, this implies we should be wearing it 24/6, but if we do take it off for whatever reason, and we know that we should really take it off because we get dirty, we can't control our thoughts 24/6, once we take it off, there's no deraisa to put it back on until the next period, which is after the next Shabbat or after the next Yom Tov. Tosva in Shabbat, Gemara Shabbat, says that any continual mitzvah, any perpetual mitzvah, should be done at least once a day, but even that's arguable. You can also see the Pri Megadim in Eshel Avraham, Lamed Zayin. He discusses whether this is a daily mitzvah or not. Sof kol sof, of course, the halacha is we should wear them every day. And of course, it's a very grave thing to not do so, but it still remains unclear. The sources remain murky. So in order to understand this, we need to turn to the secret part of the Torah, the Sod, looking for the deeper meaning about what's going on in our soul, what's going on with Hashem, Shemayim. The Gemara in Brachot says that Hashem wears tefillin, and famously his tefillin say, Mika amcha Yisrael, goy echad ba'aretz. Who is like you, Yisrael, a unique or singular nation in the world? Now, to understand what it means for Hashem to wear tefillin, we're going to have to take a dive into the topic of seichel and midot, intellect and emotions, and how they relate. Let's start with emotions. We know that Hashem relates to the creation with midot. He loves us with chesed, he judges us with gevura, he has compassion on us with tiferet, he connects to us with hod and netzach and yesod. Now, the thing about emotions is that they are reactive. They respond to somebody else. They require somebody else. And we're made in Hashem's image, which means that we've also got emotions, lahavdil. The thing is, though, our emotions are really reactive. They're instinctual almost. We just let our emotions flare up in response to whatever's happening around us without much thought, like animals. Wouldn't it be nice if we could control our emotions with our minds? We could decide how we want to feel about anything. We can choose to feel, we can choose to not feel at will. This seems like a superpower, though. Nobody can do this. And I do want to go into some depth about this in future videos, because there's a lot of depth about how to do this. This is one of the most important subjects of Torah, how to control our emotions. And there's a whole art to it and a whole wisdom behind it. But for now, let's look at what the Arizal says about Hashem and his tefillin. What are Hashem's tefillin? What are they? They're obviously not leather boxes, right? The Arizal says something very profound. He says that Hashem putting on tefillin is Hashem investing his mochin, his intellect, because Hashem has chokhmah, Hashem has da'at, as we know, into his midot. Now this sounds like an absolute miracle. What is the connection between intellect and emotions? They're apples and oranges. Firstly, they're on a completely different plane of existence. They speak completely different languages. And as we know, the emotions are relational. They need somebody else. How do I feel? How do I feel? It's about me. Or how do I feel about you? It's about you. Intellect, on the other hand, is objective. I want to know what the subject is. I want to know it for what it is, not what it means to me, not how you make me feel about it. The intellect operates on a plane of objectivity. The intellect doesn't need nobody else. It can exist in isolation. And so the Arizal teaches us something amazing about intellect. Chokhmah is called kadosh because its source is in a place called kadosh. Its source, moch stima, which is the intellect that is in potential within Keter, the sphere of Keter, which is lamala min hateva, which is sovev, which is beyond the creation, it's beyond the seder hishtalshelut, beyond the spiritual cosmos. It comes from a place called kadosh. Is kadosh, like I said, because just like Hashem is holy, what does it mean? It means that he is unique, he is elevated, he is transcendent, he doesn't need anybody else in order to exist. He can exist all on his own. So too, objective intellect is kadosh, it can exist all on its own. And that is where our understanding of Hashem begins. The Or Ein Sof is able to dwell, so to speak, in Chokhmah. Now, what this practically means is that because Chokhmah and intellect in general comes from a place called Kadosh, this very lofty, transcendent place, which is a place where anything is possible. We're talking about in the realm of Hashem's omnipotence now. We can think about anything, we can know anything, right? Because it has this ability, Arizal tells us that is what gives it the power to become absorbed into the emotions. It can break down that barrier. And because of that, the emotions can take on some objectivity. Like we said, emotions are subjective, they're relational, they're reactive. It's about me. What do I think about you? What do I think about this? How do I feel about that? When the emotions become objective, it means they don't respond to me and what I want, they respond to the truth. If something is good, I will love it, truly because it's objectively good. And if I see something that is wrong or evil, I will detest it, regardless of how I would personally normally feel about this thing. That's because at this point, my emotions have gained some objectivity from the intellect. Now, the Torah tells us that this is only possible with Torah and mitzvot. This is a superhuman ability, like I said. It's a superpower. And the best way to do this, well, there's two particular mitzvot. One is Torah study, which I'll get onto in a minute. But the other, which I'm talking about now, is the mitzvah of wearing tefillin. When Hashem puts on his tefillin, kaviyachol, he is investing his intellect into his emotions. And if we want to be zocher, to receive this influence from him, this hashpa'ah, we should also emulate him, connect to him, and wear tefillin. That will draw down this power into our own neshama through the Seder Hishtalshelut. And particularly, the Arizal says that Hashem's malchut, which is his kingship, his active ability, his creative and active power to control the world, to rule the world, also gains chokhmah. He rules the world and he guides the world with wisdom. And when does this happen? This happens every morning at Shacharit. Nukva, it's called, Malchut, comes and stands next to Ze'anpin, next to Hashem's heart, which is corresponding to the Tefillin Shel Yad. And that's when it receives its mochen. So now we can see exactly why the halacha is to wear tefillin once a day, and also particularly at Shacharit. That's exactly the halacha. And now we can see why. That is when we can receive this hashpa'ah. That is where we get zocher, to get this superhuman ability, this divine ability, to put some objectivity and absorb it into our emotions. The Ramban says that a person can learn Torah and still be wicked. You think that by learning Torah, you'll automatically become good. A lot of people make that mistake. It's not true. A person could be what he calls a naval b'rshut Torah, a scoundrel with the permission of Torah, because his heart is really in charge of his mind. So when he's learning the Torah within his mind, it will not be listening to the Torah, it will be listening to his heart and interpreting everything to make as a permission for what he already wants to do. The Ramban therefore says that the resolution to this is to go beyond the letter of the law. That means, firstly, do something which might not even be halacha, but it's obviously the right thing to do. Like I said at the very beginning, we don't know exactly why we should wear tefillin every day. Some unaccepted opinions even rule that way. But we don't follow those opinions specifically because they are not going above and beyond. We want to go above and beyond in order to be able to have our mind come to rule our hearts, so that when we study the Torah, it will make us into a good person. It will influence our heart. And this is because our mind is now wanting to connect to Hashem, to the truth, to the Kedusha that is in the Torah. And the heart will sense that. It will sense the Kedusha of Hashem, the one that is before the law, going beyond the law, is the lawmaker. We want to connect to him, and believe it or not, the language of the heart is respect. It will come to respect the mind. And when the heart respects the mind, it won't need to be commanded anymore. We know, like I'm going to say in future videos, whenever we try to command our heart, the reason why it doesn't listen is because that's not how things are supposed to work. The heart does not want to be commanded. It rebels. You can sometimes command your heart, but it's very, very ineffective. It doesn't last very, very long. Anybody who's trying to give up a habit, for example, he knows the slightest pressure and the heart will rebel. However, when the heart consents that the mind is calm, it has settled with dignity on deep understanding of the Torah, for the Torah's sake, for Hashem's sake, and has decided and learnt truly, thoroughly what is right, what is kosher, what is pure, and the opposite. The heart will love what is right. It will detest the opposite. It will love what is pure. It will love what is kosher and detest the opposite. It is now speaking the same language. The mind says yes, the heart says love. The mind says no, the heart says detest. I hope that makes sense. So may we all be blessed to put on tefillin every day and to learn Torah with great love and awe. And as a result, may we all become holy. And not only our mind will be holy, not only our heart will be holy, but our very actions will be holy. And we will live a life of holiness. We will be thoroughly, inside and out, holy, because Hashem is holy. Shabbat Shalom.